Hello, dear students. In this lecture, we are going to understand Aristotle's defense of poetry. In the last two lectures, we have understood about Plato's theory of mimesis and how Plato blamed or accused poetry on three grounds, that is, philosophical ground, moral ground, and emotional ground. Then now we will try to understand how Aristotle uh, defenses or he just objects the theory of mimesis, and he how he gives answers to the to Plato's charges against poetry. Um, Plato, Aristotle was also an ancient Greek philosopher and critic, and he was Plato's student. He took up the challenge of Plato to show that the poetry was not only pleasant but also useful for humanity, and he has given his view of poetry in his book Poetics. We know that Plato gave his theory of mimesis in his book Republic, and now Aristotle takes this responsibility of answering the charges against poetry, and he has given his views in his very famous book Poetics, in which he has given also his theory of tragedy. So his defense of poetry means is a view of literature, view of poetry. So what Aristotle thinks about literature or poetry, we can understand in his book Poetics. Aristotle was a student of Plato. So Plato was Aristotle's teacher. So while giving answers to the charges made by his teacher against poetry, Aristotle is, a very uh, he does not talk against his teacher in a rude manner, but in a very, what do you say, uh, being a student, uh, in a very smooth manner, we say, he gives answers to the charges made by his teacher against poetry. Because Aristotle believed that poetry is not doing any harm to humanity, or he thinks that poetry is a type of creation and it always gives pleasure. Aristotle never thought about poetry, or he never, he was not a moralist, and so because of that, he never thought about poetry like Plato. That poetry. Why Plato blamed or charged against poetry, or he accused of poetry? Because he was a moralist, idealist, and in his moral view, or he looked at poetry uh, uh, with moral attitude, or we may say that in philosophical view he looked at poetry, but Aristotle never looks at poetry in a philosophical way. He just thinks that how poetry is a type of creation, it is an art, and though it's imitative, but it's not a photographic representation as Plato says. So for Aristotle, poetry is a type of creation, and poet gives us a type of higher reality, a higher truth. So now how he how he defends his poetry, or how he answers to the charges made by his Plato, we shall see here. Plato condemned poetry on philosophical, moral, and emotional grounds, and Aristotle takes up the objectives of Plato one by one and justifies poetry morally, emotionally, and intellectually. Okay, let's see here. Aristotle agreed with Plato that poetry is mimetic in nature. Okay, means Plato says that poetry is imitation of nature. Okay, Aristotle agrees with his teacher. Yeah, poetry is imitation, but the meaning of imitation for Plato was just photographic representation, or just copy. But for Aristotle, imitation means not copy. Imitation means not just photographic creation, but Aristotle tells us that poet gives us something, you know additional with that. Whatever he copies, he did not, sorry, not copy, whatever he imitates, he adds something more to that imitation, and it becomes a type of creation then, because poet uses his imagination, and by using his imagination he imitates something, or he adds to that imitation his imagination, and then it becomes creation. So the meaning of imitation for Aristotle is not just photographic representation, it is creation. And because it is creation, it is new and it is not a copy, as Plato says. And that's why Aristotle says that poet gives us higher reality, higher truth. He says imitation is a creative process, and the poet, while imitating reality, transforms it into something new and much higher with his imagination. Okay, Plato likened poetry to painting, and Aristotle likened it to music. So, according to Plato, poetry imitates only surface appearances as does a painter. Okay? Plato thought about poetry as a painting. He says that for Plato, poet is like a painter, he just gives a surface. As a painter draws the picture of something, he just makes a copy and gives a surface. But Aristotle says that poet is not like a painter, poet is like a musician. So Aristotle compares poetry with music and says that poetry imitates not only the externals but also internal emotions and experiences. So it's very important point Aristotle makes here, that Plato says a poet imitates only external things, only surface, but Aristotle says that poetry imitates external as well as internal emotions, inner reality. So poet gives us inner reality, also not only external reality, but inner reality is also expressed by the poet. According to Aristotle, poetry may imitate men as they are, or as, or better than they are, or worse than they are. For example, Aristotle says that in tragedy, poet in tragedy and comedy were poetic forms in Aristotle's days in ancient Greece. So Aristotle says in tragedy, poet imitates men better than they are, and in comedy the poet imitates men worse than they are, and then he makes satire on them, and then uh, because for making the satire or creating comic effect, the poets make the satire on of the evils in the society, and for that reason they imitate worse men, or men worse than as they are. Okay. Next, to prove his point, he compares poetry with history. It's very interesting. Aristotle's comparison with history is very interesting. See here, the poet and the historian differ not by their medium, but the true difference is that the historian relates what has happened. Historian always tells us the past things and what has happened, the fact. Whatever was happened, historian tells us. Historian never tells us what may happen. He just tells us what has happened in the past. And the poet, what may or ought to have happened. What poet imagines the things in ideal manner, and he thinks that what may happen or may have happened, म्हणजे काय होईल किंवा काय झालं असतं, this type of thought or this type of ideal thought is expressed by the poet. Poetry, therefore, is more philosophical and a higher thing than history, because history expresses the particular while poetry tends to express the universal. Means history, particular things. History mentions only particular things, chronological events, what happened in the past. But poetry tells us universal truth. What is true about all human beings in the world, not in case of one man or one person. Whatever the poet tells us in through the stories or the poems or the dramas, we find that those things may happen with any person in the world, or they that may be true for any person in the world. Whatever is reflected, whatever the nature of the person is reflected, the psychology of the is reflected in the literature, we can find that such type of people live in the whole world and in any period. So that type of universality we can find in literature or poetry. But in history, only particular things, whatever has happened in the past with in the chronological order, or by giving that particular time or period, it is mentioned in the history. Okay, therefore the picture of poetry pleases all and at all times. Because poet tells us universal things, it becomes very interesting and it gives us pleasure, and not just to the people of one time, or of any country or one place, but it gives pleasure to all people, and the or people of any time and anywhere. That is called as universality. uh, Poetry is not concerned so much with what is, but what with what ought to be. Means poet is not interested what is there. What is not very important for him. What will be or what may be is important for the poet. And poetry gives us an idealized version of reality. And because of that, poet thinks the matters or the things in this world in ideal manner, and because of that poet gives a type of a version of reality, or ideal version of reality, or it may be called as higher truth or higher reality. Aristotle does not agree with Plato in the function of poetry making people weaker and emotional or too sentimental. So, on an emotional ground, Plato said that poetry makes people weaker and emotional, and it is not good for health of the people. Aristotle explains, or Aristotle defends this charge. He says, uh, in his catharsis, theory of catharsis is given in his poetics, in the theory of tragedy, particularly. Aristotle has used a term that is catharsis, that is the function of tragedy. How when we watch a tragic drama or tragedy, how we get relief from the emotions of pity and fear, um, he says in this theory. So for him, catharsis means releasing those emotions from our mind is ennobling, and it humbles a human being. So it's good for health. When catharsis happens, and due to catharsis, um, we become relieved, and it humbles human beings, and it's good for health of the human beings. So so far as the moral nature of poetry is concerned, Aristotle believes that the function of poetry is to please. However, teaching may be the byproduct of it. So how Plato thought about the function of the poetry? Plato thought that function of poetry is to teach, but Aristotle says the function of poetry is to please. Primary function of poetry is to please, and secondary function may be teaching, but pleasing is the most important function of any poetry or literature. Here poetry means literature. So please means give pleasure, give happiness. Here not that type of happiness what we get from the material things, but the happiness or the pleasure here, particularly not happiness, the particular or the proper word is pleasure. And pleasure means here aesthetic pleasure. That is the pleasure we get after reading literature. Okay. So the main function of literature is to give pleasure. This was the view of Aristotle when he thought about the function of literature. However, teaching may be the byproduct of it. Okay, it may teach, but it is not its main or primary function. Such pleasing is superior to the other pleasures because it teaches civic morality, and this pleasing is not cannot be compared with the materialistic pleasure or the other pleasures what we get in this world. This pleasing is very important, or it's very superior type of pleasure because it teaches us civic morality. It's along with giving pleasure, literature teaches us morality also, and because and while at the same time it gives us pleasure also. Okay, so all good literature gives pleasure, which is not divorced from moral lessons. So Aristotle here tells us that um, literature gives us pleasure as well as moral lessons, and in this way Aristotle defends poetry on uh, against or depends poetry, or the charges against poetry Plato has made on philosophical, moral and emotional ground. So I think you have understood this theory of mimesis, and Plato's charges against poetry and Aristotle's defense of poetry. Next, in the next lecture, I will provide a quiz upon based on this theory. So let's stop here.